What's happening? It's your host, Zach Schumaker, and today I'm being joined by the newest member of Kansas's now top three ranked 2022 recruiting class. He's a 6'10", 230-pound center who's a five-star recruit and is now ranked in the top 25 in the class of 2022. He's coming off another very successful AAU season playing with Southeast Elite on the 3SSB circuit and is now also heading into his senior season at Dr. Phillips High, which will also be his fourth year there. Now, coming into this summer, he was an unranked prospect, but is now regarded as one of the most dominant players down low, not just in 2022, but in the entire country. He's also now the 25th highest ranked commit in Kansas basketball history, and that's Ernest Udeh Jr. Obviously, it's been a long recruiting process. 6 months ago, you were unranked. Today, you're now a five-star ranked player, top 30 in the country. And now you've announced your commitment. You're heading out to Kansas, one of the most prestigious schools out there. Take us through what's going through your mind right now.
It's like you said, it's been a long recruiting process, from going to one offer to damn near 40, it's like, what do I do with this, and I honestly, I feel like I handled it well. Speaking to all the coaches, the respect that I've gained from all the coaches and, to just get to this point has been really a blessing. So
you just look at your whole group. Obviously, you had top 10, but now you narrow it down to that final two, Kansas and UCLA. That's two of the most winning programs out there. It's two offers that kids dream of getting someday. If you just look at that and just say, I had a chance to choose from two of those type of caliber schools, what did that mean to you?
Of course, it meant the world, honestly, because like you said, kids dream of this. And I was once that kid that dreamed of this, And of course, every now and then I'll look back on it and be like, wow, like that's amazing. I really did that. But on the other side, it's like, I really put in the work, met the right people, the right coaches, and they put me in the position to be successful. So, it really is just the result of what I put in.
So if we would have went back in the beginning of June, back when you were just barely cracking into the top 150 and had a few offers, could you have seen yourself in just about 3-4 months becoming a top ranked player in the country, having all these offers? Or is that still kind of shocking to you?
Being completely honest, no. Like I really honestly, like I said, when this first started, I had one. And when I got that first one, it's like the first one, So I mean, if anything, I would say to myself, all right, maybe 5 more, at the most 10. And then ending up with all these offers that I have, it's crazy. And just going throughout the games where I was picking up like 3 offers a day or 2 or whatever the number was, it was hitting me. But honestly, it was like, to me, I put it this way, like, all right, we're able to be back out playing in front of college coaches. I'm playing well, putting in the work behind closed doors. And it was really a combination of surprise and just, man, like you're putting in the work. You deserve this, So that's really where it came down to.
So when did it sink in for you? You started realizing I truly am now one of these top guys. I'm truly am getting all these offers, or has it even sunk in yet for you?
Honestly, it might sound crazy, but when I went to the top 100 camp, when I got invited to the top 100 camp, because, I had offers before then or whatever, but it was just something about going to that camp, like an NBA structured camp for the top players in the country. And during the camp, they were just going through all the NBA guys that have came through that camp. And me looking at that, I was like, yo, like I'm really here in the same camp that those same guys were at. So that's when it really started to sink in for me that, like I'm one of those guys,
Well, let's get into this decision. You had your final two we just mentioned, UCLA, Kansas, and we're looking at obviously just the history, track record of guys at your position. I'm sure you looked at that. One side, you have Wilt Chamberlain, Joel Embiid, etc. The other side, you have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Walton, not necessarily a center, but still just a recent big man type of guy, and Kevin Love. You look at just all this history. You know that's both there in your position. So how did you narrow this down? How did you ultimately decide on KU? Like, why was that the school you chose?
Honestly, like you said, going on both sides, I felt like they really had the tools and within the play style and how the coaches were for a big guy like me to be successful and ultimately have a chance at the next level. And, going on those 2 visits, like I said, I love both the schools. Like, they treated me great, like family, the players, all of those guys. And, just it was really like one of those feelings, like more so how I felt within that environment around the team. Like, it was really good on both ends for both schools. But it was just something about Kansas, that I just said, like, I have to come here.
So your visits were pretty close to each other. I think they were separate weekends, maybe 2 weeks apart or whatever. Yeah. So you go to that UCLA visit, first of all. What were your thoughts on the school? Were you pretty close to committing to there possibly even at that point? Or where did you stand with UCLA before you went on the KU visit?
Where I was at UCLA was, because I narrowed it down with like play style, opportunity to play, of course, things like that. Mm-hmm. And going to UCLA, it was really, I knew what I needed to know about like the system and stuff like that. And then really, I just, was really looking at the environment, what was going around. They have a really good campus. Like, I'm not going to lie. The weather's great. So everyone's outside doing their work outside, and being from Florida, you can never go outside like at all, worried about bugs and all that stuff. That was really cool. But I mean, just like the environment was great. Like it's basically Westwood, like it's a live place. There's a lot of stuff to do there. But it was really more of a environment thing for me when going there. So
in terms of the 2 recruiting classes, you weren't going to be the first guy in either one. Both of them already have great classes. One side has Dylan Andrews and Amari Bailey. The other one, the guys that are joining now, MJ, Gradey Dick, Zuby as well. Did any of those guys have an impact on the recruiting process? Were those guys at all recruiting you? Did you talk to them throughout this process? Or was it pretty much just you and the coaching staff and maybe even alumni from the different schools?
I mean, it was really a combination of both, on UCLA side. The coaches were really involved. Don't get me wrong. The players here and there. And then Kansas really was the same thing. I played Gradey at the top 100 camp. I see him, and he's a really good guy. He's a really good player. And with MJ, like MJ's just a dog, and he gets after it. He has that killer mentality that like all players I feel should have when competing for a chance to play at the next level. So yeah.
Now, it was just about 10 days ago, so let's go through that visit. You head out to Kansas now. Obviously, we know already how great of a school that is. One of the most historic programs and obviously one of the most historic places to go play in as well. Take us to that visit, though. What was it like? Just take us through the emotions, what you did out there. Just what was that Kansas visit like that ultimately sold you to go to KU?
Honestly, I mean, we touched down off the plane. They brought Coach Norm. He came to pick us up. Took us to the hotel where we were staying, and I instantly was greeted by the whole coaching staff, with open arms. Like, they were really happy to see me. We talked a little bit, sent me off to my room. The next day, we obviously had breakfast with the whole coaching staff again. Like, I ate meals the entire weekend with the whole coaching staff, and some of them with their wives too. So it was just really like a real family environment, family experience that you can tell it wasn't a show that they were putting on. Like, that's how they are, a well tight-knit program that, trusts each other and is really family oriented. And, their practice, coaches talking to the guys, they taking the feedback, responding well. It's always loud in there. Like, there's not a time that guys wouldn't be talking, them getting up and down, cheering for each other, being competitive. And like I said, like, to me, it's a real basketball environment, So
at what point did you know, okay, this is where I want to go? Coach Self, you won me over. Like, when did you finally decide and come to the conclusion that you want to attend KU for your college?
Honestly, it was at one of the meals that we had. And obviously, like, no one really knew what was going on through my head. It was one of the like dinners we had. And, just, if I'm being honest, the conversations we were having at the table, how I see my mom reacting with the coaches. And, this process really, really comes down to how she feels with, the school and the coaching staff. Because, again, not only do I want to feel comfortable where I'm going, but I also want to make sure my family's comfortable with the decision I'm making. And, just the way she was interacting with the coaching staff, talking to some of the players, the coaches' wives, it was really heart touching, if you get what I'm trying to say, just to see her, just loose and be able to express herself there. So
Now, obviously, I have to imagine you have told Coach Self and the staff that you're committing there. So did that take place on the visit? Did you wait a couple of days and call them later? Like, when did you call them, and what was their reaction when you did tell them that, hey, Coach, I'm coming to Kansas?
Yeah. So going into, like I said, going into the Kansas visit, the plan really was I was really going to wait it out. I didn't really plan to commit this early, if I'm being honest. But like I said, I got that feeling, and to me, it was sort of like a what am I waiting for type thing, you know? So I didn't tell him on the visit, because I'm the type of guy that I will never try to jump the gun too early, especially with something as important as this.
Yeah.
Maybe probably one of the biggest decisions I'll ever make in my life. So, you know, I just I got home, talked it over with my mom. Like, I told her, like, hey, like, she asked me, like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't approach my mom. She came to me, like, you know, she's always asking me after every college call, like the visits we had, like anytime we talk about college, she always sits me down and she's like, EJ, like what's going on? And I looked at her and I told her, like, yeah, like this is what I want to do. And, you know, we called my high school coach, my youth coach, we sat down, talked about it, and we ultimately came to that decision. And I told Coach Self, I hit him up and I made a little joke. I was talking about pizza, and he was like, oh, because pizza is my favorite food. So, so yeah, I just was like, hey, so do you have any like good pizza spots around? Da da da. And he was like, yeah, like he started like listening to you, and I was like, all right, great, because I'm gonna need to know where they're at since I'm gonna be coming to Kansas. And he was like, son, are you for real? Like, he didn't believe me at first. Like, he was just making sure, and I was like, yes, coach. And he was just really happy. So yeah.
Now, at that point, what was going through your mind then? Like, when you finally get off your chest and okay, it's finally over now. I've committed officially. I mean, obviously, you're still going to announce it now. You've announced it publicly. But at that point, kind of gets off your chest. What was going through your mind? Your thoughts saying, I'm officially locked in now. I know where I'm going. And I finally found my home.
Honestly, like a little part of it, you know, is just getting that burden off my chest. Like a heavy weight has been lifted. Like, yep. You know, I've arrived to deliver the package that I've been carrying for so long. And, you know, the bigger part of it was, you know, it's just time to put my head down and go even harder, you know, because college is just one step in what I'm trying to do for me and my family, you know. And of course, I'm going to go to college, put my all into it, do whatever I got to do. But it was really a time that I had to lock in and say, all right, I got this part out of the way. I was really time to lock in and just focus on just being the best basketball player I could be. So.
Now, I do know that COVID has kind of impacted this aspect a little bit, but I know some colleges like to bring alumni, rather be former players or just historical great players, coaches, whatnot, into a program to help recruit you. Did you ever get to talk to, per se, a guy like Embiid or a guy like any of these former maybe NBA guys or former KU players? Like, did you get to talk to any of them throughout this process yet?
I mean, it was always up to me, you know, like coach, he always let me know, like he could give me Udoka's number or even Embiid's number, you know, just get on the phone and talk to them. I never really talked to them per se yet, but I mean, it's probably something that I'm still going to do. You know, even with being committed, of course, I want to listen to those guys' feedback and get their perspective on their time at Kansas. So.
Now, how big is that for you? As you look at the track record right now, David McCormick is the guy down low for right now. We know obviously Udoka was the guy before that, Embiid. This list just goes down. He's coach himself has had an incredible big man run through this program. How big of a factor was that for you? Just seeing this track record of NBA level big men, kind of built like you, all about 6'10", maybe 7'1" in Embiid's case. Like, how big was that in terms of the appealing factor for you?
I mean, of course, it's one of those things that you can't ignore. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, if you're a good player and you have skill and whatnot, like you're just a good basketball player, of course, you're going to get yours, you know. But at the end of the day, I mean, coach, you can't ignore the fact that he's produced these guys or even coached these guys and put them on the NBA stage. It's something you really can't ignore. So for sure, that probably played a role in my decision for sure.
Another aspect about you, I know we're talking about a little bit, and I know some articles recently said you're from Nigeria, but you have a Nigerian background for you, and that is the case for a few different players on the roster. You know, Ochi Abaji, he probably won't be able to play with them. I think he's going to be going to the NBA after this year, but he has that descent. Joseph Yusufu, he's probably going to stay another year. He has the same thing. Jalen Wilson, same case. Is that impactful for you? Like, to know that you have something you kind of can relate to with a couple of different guys on the team, and did that factor in at all? And have you even got to talk to those guys yet?
I mean, I wouldn't really say it's factored, but of course it's an intriguing aspect. You know, on my visit, I talked to Ochai, and that's my dog. Like we had great conversations about our different backgrounds, and with that, I'd say for sure, like Coach, he has a really good perspective on Nigerian guys as a whole. So it was for sure a good talk that I had with Ochai, and then Coach making remarks, talking about our different foods and whatnot that we have in Nigeria. So it was a really good experience.
Now, you are the 25th highest ranked commit in program history, and that is saying a lot because guys that's around you are the likes of Embiid, Andrew Wiggins, Thomas Robinson, the Morris twins, obviously Frank Mason, Devontae Graham, the list goes on. To know that your name is now amongst other guys heading into college, like you're in that same group of guys, what does that mean to you?
Honestly, it means a lot. You go down that list and you see a lot of guys that made it to the next level and are really great at what they did here at the time in Kansas. And, I never really, if I'm being honest, I never really try to compare myself to what such and such did or what this person did. It's always been do the best that I can do with the abilities I've been given and the work I put in. So, of course, it's a real honor to, be put on that list with those guys. And, it's another reason for me, to put my head down and just put in the work in to be successful. So
I know for some guys, they can have some pressure come with that. Like once again, you're putting your name amongst the other guys. You're heading to a program like KU where expectations are high, not just win, but eventually become a pro too. Is there any pressure on you? And do you feel any sense of pressure by the time you get to campus? Like, will that be any pressure on you?
No pressure, no pressure. I've been dealing with quote unquote pressure my entire life, from every team that I've played on, for any coach that I played with, it's always been sort of my job, to be able to show up and perform at the highest level that I can, ever since I started playing basketball, so I mean, just being able to, step into another pair of shoes with the same look and the same feel, that's really how I look at it. So it's no pressure. So all I know is just if I put in the work and do what I'm supposed to, the results will speak for itself. So.
Well, let's get a little bit deeper into Coach Self because he obviously is one of the greatest coaches in this game today, if not the greatest coach in college basketball. So take us to you guys bond a little bit deeper, like not just on the court because you haven't been coached by him yet, but off the court. It's his funny nature, who he's like on and off the court. Like just take us through your relationship with Coach Self to this point.
Coach Self, I mean, his personality, like you mentioned, it's through the roof. He's done the entire trip. He was just making us laugh and whatnot, saying jokes. And he really knows how to make you feel comfortable, as coaches, of course, like you said, on the court, he's going to push you out your comfort zone, make sure he gives you the correct criticism and tell you what you did wrong so you can fix your mistakes. Then off the court, he's just a real genuine guy. He's like I said, he's really family oriented. So it's like he really cares about his players and the people that he has around him. So ultimately, he's just a real genuine guy.
So what would you say is the funniest memory you two have had together so far?
They told me about a story about Joel when when he first started, because you have the Hell Week and whatnot, and long story because it was a really long story, but long story short, he didn't really make it the first time, and then he came back and he was begging the coach if he could do it again because he didn't, like I said, he didn't do it when he was supposed to. But, he came back and asked coach if he could do it, and he did it and finished it. And, what I took out of that was like, even though he failed and whatnot, he knew he couldn't let his team down in a sense, and I really feel like that really stood out to me when he told that joke, and I really took it as a lesson. Like if I put in my work and all into something I do and I still come up short, I shouldn't stop trying to give up. Just keep going until I make sure I get the result I'm looking for. So.
In terms of your 2022 recruiting class, you guys are stacked so far. As I said, now it's the number 3 ranked recruiting class in the country. MJ Rice, Gradey Dick, Zuby as well in that group, and now you join those 3. Take us to this group. Like, how special are you guys, and just how excited are you to be able to get out there eventually and join those other 3 guys and really kind of solidify this 4-man 2022 recruiting class?
One thing I can say about us for sure, because I've seen everybody play from Zuby to Gradey to MJ. I've seen all of us play. And I could probably say the one thing I think we all have in common is that we're most definitely going to get after it. We don't take plays off. We're going to make sure that we do everything we're supposed to do in between those lines. And just the work ethic, I think that we're all going to have, and the hours that we're going to put in at our time at Kansas is really going to be something special. So all I can say is you guys are going to have to watch and see what we do. So.
Now, where does your relationship stand with those three? Like, do any of them know before you announce your commitment? Like, have you talked to those guys yet? Do they know about your commitment? Have they been a part of this process at all? Or are they all going to be finding out at the same time everyone else does?
I mean, they're going to find out at the same time everyone else does. I've really, throughout this whole process, my circle really has been consistent of just my coaches and my mom and, like, my family, really. So, they're really, like, the only people who knew stuff before I knew it. It's just really, I just keep it tight. But of course, after everyone knows, we're gonna for sure have some talks and whatnot and get closer. So,
would you say you're the final piece of this 2022 class? We know Mark Mitchell's still in the mix to a degree. A couple other guys could also evolve into that group as well. But are you the final piece? You guys still trying to add another guy, or where do you guys stand in this 2022 class now that you've committed?
I wouldn't really say I'm the final piece. I'd just say I'm another piece that has been added for success. Every guy is gonna have a different situation from me or whatnot. But if it's a right fit for a guy and they decide to come to Kansas, hey, by all means, come along. But I just feel like we're really gonna be a special team in my freshman year at Kansas. So it's really something that I just can't wait for.
If you could pick one other guy to bring along with you in this 2022 class, who would it be?
Regardless of, I'd probably say, it's tough. I'd probably say my point guard, Denzel, at my high school. He's going to Florida. I wish all the best of luck to him. And he's always been trying. They've all been always trying to get me over there to play with him. Of course, that's something I would love to do. But like I said, guys' situations are different from one another and whatnot. And just him personally, like, we've built a relationship over the past years that we played together, and it's just gotten to a point where it's like he can read me like my backhand, and I can read him like his, and it's just really a bond that has been growing and will continue to grow regardless of where we're at. And the next couple of years, and I'm really blessed to call him my brother, really.
Now, when you do talk about going up against a guy like Denzel or Riley or Ben or any of the guys you got to go up and play with now that you've created a great bond with, what's that game going to be like when you step foot on that college court and you get to go up against them, living out your dreams on the college level? What's that game going to be like for you guys?
For sure, don't get me wrong, it's going to be fun. It's every game that I play against those guys is going to be fun. But you know what? In between those lines, when the clock starts, hey, it's time to get to business. We'll laugh and joke around after the game, whoever wins or loses. But it's business, really. But those are my guys. I wish them the best of luck wherever they go, and I just pray for their success. All throughout, from A to Z, with all the guys I've ever played with. Really, when it gets to the next level, I just wish them all the best.
So we've talked about all the other different guys coming in 2022 and whatnot, but how about yourself now? When you get out there as a freshman, what can this fan base expect for you to bring to the court when you step out foot on that court for the first time?
Dedication, really. It's really one of the biggest things. Like, just regardless of wherever I was going to go to school, I just knew when I get to the college level, it's a totally different level of focus and determination that I was going to need to have. And, with extra hours I put in the gym, going hard in practice, not taking any reps off, it's just a whole another level that had to be boosted up and turned up for me to be successful and get where I want to go to. So that's for sure something that's going to be brought to Kansas.
Is there a player you could compare yourself to, maybe even some different guys that you take pieces from, like whether it be NBA guys, KU guys, like who are some guys you maybe watch and just take pieces from, put in your game, or maybe even just one guy specifically?
I'm always watching film, always watching different guys, seeing moves I can take off of. But if there was one player that I can say who what I do is raw, without any of the other extras added, probably be Ayton. watching him in the finals, the way he was picking and rolling, catching it on the move, shooting the mid-range. It's just really stuff that I've been working on apart from the stuff that, the extra stuff like bringing it up the court, catch and shoot threes. He's really a guy that is great at what he does before all the extra stuff has been added on. So he's one of the guys I've been watching for sure.
That's huge, because I think we see, obviously you have your elite guys, your Embiid, your Cats that can do, Jokic that can do literally everything on the court right now.
Yeah.
But really those guys making a lot of money. We see Jared Allen, Miles Turner, the DeAndre Ayton, as you just saw. We see a lot of different guys in today's game. It's kind of that rim running big man that's kind of mastered the shot blocking, lob threat, pick and roll, and then they also add on a mid range or a corner three or some other stuff like that. So how have you kind of modeled your game in that aspect? Like, how have you learned to take pieces and kind of master that shot blocking ability, master that pick and roll, rim running ability? Like, how have you learned to grow in those aspects too?
One of the pieces of advice I got throughout this whole process, when certain coaches and guys talk to me about, the NBA wants you, it's a different game to say, expand your range, be able to have ball handling. And one of the things I'd say, which really stuck out to me was, don't lose what got me all these offers in the first place, because going throughout this process, all right, I have 30 something offers, but you tell me where you've seen me shoot a single 3-pointer. My point, I've just been good at what I do defensively, offensively, developing, just being an elite defender, I'd say, is what really got me to this point. And, halfway showing my ability to, play with my back to the basket, shoot the mid-range, which I'm comfortable with totally. And just, like I said, just being elite at what I do first before all the extra stuff added. And I feel like that's really what's going to allow me to be successful.
Let's get into your story a little bit, because as we talked about, it hasn't always been you being a top-ranked player, a 5-star, tons of offers your whole life. You've worked your way up to this point now. So if we head all the way back, you're obviously born and raised in Florida. Take us through that. Like, what was it like just growing up out there in Florida?
Growing up in Florida, it's always been, I've been really around the same environment my whole life up till now. My mom, she's a single mother. So, she raised me and my siblings by herself. And look at what I've turned into, So all the props to her. And, just always like seeing her, what it took for her to raise all of us. And it was just a thought that I took to myself and was like, why wouldn't I want to go out and be great, since I've had this opportunity and this privilege to be here and be put in this position with the people I've met throughout my entire life. And, I honestly always had the right people, and it's really been a blessing to me. Like, I've always had the right people around me since elementary. My elementary coaches introducing me to the travel ball scene. And then from middle school to high school, meeting the right coach and Coach Ben and Coach Ricks, putting me on the biggest really travel ball stage ever. And, it's just, like I said, it's just growing up and having the right people around me is really something that I've never, ever, and will ever take for granted. So it's just been really a blessing for me.
That's gotta be kind of crazy, because like you said, for anyone to have a son go and become a Division I athlete, especially at your level now, is not easy. It's very rare. Obviously, there's only 20 or 30 different guys that have that 5-star pedigree that you do. So how has she been able to do that? You raise not just you, but your siblings as well. And just take us through your guys' bond, like how much has really helped you become the guy that you are today?
My mom, she's my backbone, maybe even my skeleton, the relationship that we have, it's not even, I really can't describe it to you. She cares so much about me and my siblings, the sacrifices she's made, driving 30 minutes here so I'll be able to go practice, an hour here so I can play, paying money to come watch me play my games. And it's just, I can always see it every single day. Even now, she just cares so much and would she drop everything else just to make sure me and my siblings are taken care of and successful in life. She's really like the selfless person I know. And like, I'm not exaggerating at all. It's insane. Like we have a game coming up, and, if she has to waste gas to drive a far amount, then go pay tickets on top of that. I'm like, Mom, it's good. Like, please, if it was up to me, I'd have her stay home, with my siblings, make sure they're good. I hate when she goes out her way and she's like, no, like, are you crazy? Like, I'm coming. Like, she doesn't listen to me at all. So, it just goes to show that she really loves me, and like, I love her too. And that bond is something that will never be tainted, or nothing can break it, really. So.
And we also touched base a little bit. Obviously, she's from Nigeria, and you guys kind of have that in your bloodline. I know that a lot of guys take pride in that too. So for you, like, how big has that been for you to kind of knowing that that's kind of your background, taking pride? Do you take pride in being from Nigeria? Like, what does that mean to you? Just know that that's kind of in your blood, and that's kind of where your ancestry is from.
1,000%. I take a lot of pride in being Nigerian. It's one of the aspects of my life I've never taken for granted, and I've loved it. I wouldn't be anything else, And like, one of the things, like, we have a native language, Igbo, but I can understand every single word she says. When my uncles talk to me overseas, I can understand everything, but I can't speak it. And that's that's been one of the things that was just like, oh man, like, I wish, but I mean, I can understand it. The foods that we have, it's crazy. She cooks them still. That's still one of the great things. So it's not like I'm eating, I'm not eating Nigerian stuff. I'm always eating whatever. She's a great cook, so I never go hungry. So it's great being from Nigeria and everything it has to offer. It's a country that takes pride in who they are and their culture and everything. So it's great.
On the basketball aspect of that, we have seen more and more guys obviously just made another Olympic appearance this past year now. We see a lot of guys that aren't necessarily born in Nigeria, but the parents are from them. They can therefore go play for the Olympic team. Obviously, Dinwiddie would have been a big headline guy if he wasn't injured, and a lot of those guys did, though. So is that something that you would look into? Would you want somebody to play for the Nigerian Olympic team or the FIBA team or anything like that?
Oh, 1,000%. I've always talked about I talked to my coaches, about it. It's always been a decision, like, if it came down to, like, what Olympic team would I play for, USA or Nigerian team. And I 1,000% would play for the Nigerian team, just to, I've been, like I said, I've been in the US my entire life, so to be able to go home and rep Nigeria and do something for them in regards to that, it'll be a real opportunity, I'd say. So for sure.
So when did the ball first get put in your hands? Like, when did this first start becoming the sport? You said, I want to play basketball. I love this game. Like, when did this game really start coming to you? And when did you first start playing it?
Like most kids nowadays, it's like, their parents, they put them in a basketball, or they've been playing on circuits since they were in diapers, And me, it really wasn't the case. Around when LeBron went to Miami, when he first went to Miami, was the time I'd say I started watching the NBA, and just seeing him in the finals, like, just performing with all the lights on him on national television. I'd go to school, everyone's talking about it. It was something like, because growing up, I've always been like an athletic kid. Like, I played soccer, kickball, like any sport, like you can really name it. And, just watching him and watching how everyone in society reacted to it, it was just like, yo, like, I want to do that. I want to do that, And so going through, like, in elementary, I tried it for the basketball team. Of course, I made it. I was never on varsity, though. I was on JV. Like, people don't know, like, some people think, like, I've always been decent and good. Like, of course, I knew the fundamentals, but I wasn't anything special, Up until, I'd say, middle school, when my elementary coach reached out to me. He's like, yo, got a travel team you want to come play for? Because he knew I was into basketball, and, like, I wanted to do something with it. So it was like, all right, I joined this team on YBOA circuits, nothing, not too much exposure, until my freshman year. Well, coming out of my freshman year, Coach Ben became the new coach at my high school. And that's when he introduced me to my AU coach, Ricks. And he was like, yo, I got a guy, a good friend of mine. He runs a team organization. It's great exposure for you and what you want to do. So it was really that conversation we had. And at that point, I'd say is really when the times in the gym behind closed doors, the the weight training is when I really started taking basketball like serious, like as a business, like my life depends on it. So for sure.
So have you always been tall? Obviously you're 6'10", 230, whatever now. Have you always had a height advantage? Did that happen at one point, one big growth spurt, or when did the height come to you?
No, honestly, like I've been tall my entire life. I'd probably say the earliest, back when I first started keeping track of my height was, I want to say 7th grade. I was about 6'3" in 7th grade. So, ever since then, I'd probably go 2 inches every year. So that's really when I started keeping track of my height. So I knew I've always been tall. So
do you think you still have some more room to grow possibly, or you're gonna pretty much be done at 6'10", do you think?
I mean, no, because guys, we stopped growing at age 21. So nah, for sure. What's his name? Anthony Davis still grew in the league. So, I'd probably size up some more left in me.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into your high school career a little bit, there's one signature thing about you I think more people start noticing, and that is the Kermit frog. You have in your profiles, have your name going around. You gotta explain this to us. Like, how did that come to be? Where did that start? Like, just take us through that a little bit.
So it's you wouldn't believe how many times people ask me this. But so in middle school, first day of school, new class, you go around and you say your name in front of the class, and move on to the next person. So it's my time to go up. And obviously I say, my name's Ernest, whatnot. I sit down. And one girl thought I said Kermit, right? So for the whole 2 weeks of school, she was calling me Kermit until one time I caught it. And I was like, say it again? And she said it. And I was like, no, my name's Ernest. She was like, oh. But then I stopped and I told her to say it again. And I like the sound of it. And people were saying I look like a frog. So it was just something that I thought fit me. So I just really stuck with it. And I thought it was just really something funny. So
now I know in today's world, you guys have NIL now. You can start using that as a branding aspect and making money off that now. And most likely, obviously, definitely going to KU. We know how big their brand is. So is this something you want to plan to continue with? Like going to Kansas, you want that nickname, plan to brand it and kind of make some money off that as well?
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's for sure. Of course, it's been a thought. It's something I've talked to my coaches about, getting feedback and whatnot. But, it's something that is most definitely in some serious consideration.
Absolutely. Let's get into this high school career. You've spent 4 years now out there, and you've had a pretty great career at the Phillips School. So take us through this a little bit. Like, you've obviously evolved from being a guy that gets a few minutes per game as a freshman now to becoming the go-to guy your senior year. So take us through why was it the school you originally chose to go to, and why was that the high school program you said, I want to play my career out here?
Being honest with you, it had nothing to do with the team, how I liked the school. My mom, she worked at Dr. Phillips while I was still in middle school. So it was just she works there. All right, let me go to school there. My mom's there. Like I said, it would be convenient for her, So it was that's really what brought me there my freshman year. Nothing out of that, really.
So did you expect to become a high-level Division I guy back then as a freshman? Or when did it start coming? What year did you start saying, I actually can be a Division I player now?
Not at all. I knew it's really hard to say, but to say I'd be in this position, it's really hard. I've always had dreams about it. And, that's all they really were just dreams. Like you said, playing little minutes to none freshman year, and now being at this position I am, it's been a blur that happened so fast. So it's to go back and think on that, it was how did I really feel back then? It's just crazy. And it's just, like I said, I've never been the guy to pay attention to outside noise or the environment of how things are going. I've just, if I wasn't able to, let's say I wasn't able to dunk at some point in time, I wouldn't think about, oh man, I'm never going to dunk. All this stuff I'm doing, it'll just be, just keep working and eventually it will happen. Because I'm looking around, I'm seeing other people dunking. So what does that tell me? I'm seeing all these other guys, high recruited, and they're just performing well and getting the recognition that they deserve. So if I perform well, put in the work, the same thing will come to me. So, yeah.
That's not the mentality for a lot of guys. Like a lot of people do put their whole focus in the rankings, seeing where they're ranking up, and
Yeah,
some guys take it personally. Some guys maybe even
yeah,
use it for a good sense in terms of, okay, I want to get past them motivation wise. But
yeah,
a lot of people out there do look at it and get too high about themselves, maybe get too down on
yeah.
themselves for them. So how have you done that? How have you truly just said, put the rankings aside, I'm just going to focus in on my craft, and eventually God's going to work through me and he's going to get me to wherever he wants me to be.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, how many guys in the NBA draft go unranked
Mm-hmm.
or overseas guys that you've never heard of their names? That's literally probably one of the top things that I look at. And that just goes to show me, like, listen, if you're a good basketball player, you're gonna get what you deserve. If you put in the work, you're gonna get what you deserve. I'm never really gonna pay attention to the outside noise or whatnot. Now, of course, I understand, like the motivation from, put some respect on my name and whatnot. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you do what you're supposed to do, put in the work, I mean, people who don't think you're something will just look stupid. So, hey, that's how I look at it.
So now you are that guy. Now that you do have the 5 star, you have the rankings, their followers are going out now. How do you continue to stay locked in now, continue to focus on your craft? And how do you continue to do that now once you get to KU and maybe in the NBA eventually? Like, how do you continue to stay locked in on living your life, following God, and just kind of walking down the path that you're supposed to be walking down?
Yeah. Like I said, before I've never had this. It's not like I've always been a top ranked recruit my entire life, in middle school or whatever the case may be. I've just always been the same humble kid who puts in the work, doesn't really pay attention to the lights, and everything just came to me. Honestly, I really wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for God. Like he's done so much for me and my family. Stuff that I can't even describe to you. Things that we didn't know that we needed. And just him putting me in this position just goes to show, like, I look at it as if he wants me to be successful, then all I know is I got to put in the work, and wherever he wants to take me with it, whatever he wants to happen, it'll happen. So, just I got to this point by putting my head down, keeping true, keeping faith, and putting the work. So I don't know why I would change up anything to do anything else or feel a certain type of way about where I am now. So.
Kind of agree more. Well, we'll go back in the high school career a little bit to wrap this up, and it's pretty soon. So your sophomore year, then you get a little bit more minutes and as a team more successful. You guys go 20-8. Take us through that year a little bit. Like, how big was that sophomore year for you? Just walk us through that season for yourself.
Like you said, coming off of a season where I'm, of course, new to the high school scene, not really getting minutes. And even though, like, I wasn't this, nationwide known guy, I've always been the guy in my respective teams, like always playing the big minutes and whatnot. And, just coming to that situation and then coming back on in my sophomore season, it was just really like all right, you went through a season with such and such. And that really, if I'm being honest, it really opened my eyes to, all right, not everything is going to be cake. You're going to have to put in the work, because if you're not good, I mean, what are the coaches using you for, So it was just me putting in the work. Starting off the season, really, coming into it, I was like, of course, it's not like I was the same guy. I got better, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And, just playing more minutes. And I started to see myself like, all right, I stopped seeing myself as just a guy that can go through the motions or whatnot. I wasn't really playing. So like, okay, like this team needs me. Like, let me lock in and do what I'm supposed to do so we can get the outcome that we want. That freshman year, our team, we were decent, but it wasn't anything crazy where we were being talked about like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things I can say is the way, I call it how it is, the bandwagon, the way like everything just switched when we started winning games my sophomore season, going into my junior season. It was something that you had to be there to experience. My freshman year walking on campus, the football team was the big talk and whatnot. They're winning the chips and whatnot. The basketball team, we were like, because it's not like we were just tearing up everything. We weren't. But at the same time, we had friends in school and whatnot, and they still support us. But even that was still different to the support that we get now.
You guys kind of formed this big three now out there. Obviously, your guy, you're the one piece there. Denzel, we talked about him earlier, and Riley as well. He's obviously a big-time Riley prospect too. You guys all kind of came together, and last year really came to fruition. You guys got the state championship. You guys had a huge year. You guys go 24-3. Walk us through you guys bond, like you three coming together, winning a state champ. Just take us through all this past season, just how you three have really evolved into that dominant trio now in the state of Florida.
Most definitely. Like I said, we've talked about Nizelle, but of course Riley too. Going into my sophomore year, when I started playing for Coach Ricks on the AU team, that's where I first met Denzel. Us playing on the circuit, I was like, yo, like this kid is really going to be something special. Like I could tell in the way he plays, his approach to the game. Like if I'm being honest, Denzel's approach to the game is unlike anything I've ever seen before. The amount of hours he puts in the gym, it's crazy. Like I couldn't even tell you. He's probably in the gym right now. Like honestly, like he really doesn't. You call him, he's not gonna answer his phone. He's probably working out. Like seriously. But I mean, just seeing him on the circuit, I got him to come play with me at high school. And then, going right back, basically the same thing, meeting Riley on the circuit, him playing with us and him coming back to DP with us. It was like a real, we all have a real relationship. It's nothing fake. It's more than basketball with us. We talk on a daily, talk in school. It's just something that we had to realize, like, all right, we've been given these special gifts and these special talents, and we've been put in this position for us to basically call it how it is, do our jobs, make sure the team's straight, make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do to reach our team goals. And, it's always been genuine between us. The relationship is never going to be tainted. So like I said, those are my guys really. And obviously if we could all play at the next level, hey, of course, that'd be the greatest thing ever. But, those will always be my guys. So.
There's a moment I have to ask you about that. You broke a rim last year, a couple months ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
You got to take us to that play, though. Like, just walk us through that. How did it all go down? What was your reaction? Just take us through breaking that rim last year.
So, Ethan, he shoots a shot in the corner, comes off the far side. I grab it. I go to put it back up. The kid, if I'm being honest, the kid that grabbed my arm, if he didn't grab my arm, I really don't know if I would have broken it. But he grabbed my arm and it caused me to go up straight armed instead of bent. And obviously I missed, but I put my hand straight on the rim and just basically tore it off. And I kid you not, that is the fastest reaction, whatever you want to call it, I've ever had in my life. As soon as the backboard cracked, I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, there's no way. And there's no way at all that I just cracked this backboard. Like I'm thinking it's just cracked, like it's cracked. All right, whatever. I start to come down. Mind you, I'm going through like 20 different emotions, 50 different thoughts in my head within those 5 seconds that it all happened. To come down, and I'm like, yo, I'm right directly under this backboard, and all this glass. Like I was terrified. I went through shock, surprise. I was terrified. It was like just a sigh of relief when it was all said and done. I'm coming down. I'm like, yo, this glass is coming down with me. The rim is coming down with me. As soon as my feet hits this ground, I need to get out of here. And you can watch it. You can see it in the video if you see it. As soon as my foot touched the ground, I started kicking and getting out of there. Like I always tell my friends, like, imagine if I lost grip in my first step. Like it would have been wraps. That's really the scariest moment I've ever had in my life. But thank God I'm here and whatnot. And it's just everyone was talking about it. It was everywhere. Shaq posted it. It was on ESPN, Sports Center, whatever you could think of. It was just it was a crazy moment, really.
So did you guys continue the game after that, or did that conclude the game right after that happened?
Oh, actually, because Olympia is right down the street, so they just moved the game to Olympia and whatnot. I went to go fix up my leg, make sure no glass was in me or whatnot, and I was ready to go the next game. So.
Now, I know for a lot of guys, when they do break a rim, they like to keep that with them. So were you able to keep that rim with you? And do you have it?
Hold on. Let me go ahead and oh, man, this thing is heavy. Oh, man, I have it right here. God have mercy. But nah, you can see it right here. It's most definitely in my room. Most definitely with me.
Absolutely. Well, you have one more year of high school basketball remaining for yourself. You're staying home once again, fourth year, your senior season. You're already a state champion. You've achieved a lot. You're committed. What do you want to get done this year? Like for it to be a successful senior year for you, what do you want to get accomplished in the next year?
You know, like I said, from being a team that, was barely talked about to winning states, having the whole bandwagon flip,
Mm-hmm.
and to now we still have something to prove, Sophomore year, we came up short. I believe it was the semi regionals to Ocoee on that crazy buzzer beater. It was insane. Like I can't even describe to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we won states last year, so of course that was good. And now, the main focus, being honest, is Geico. Coach Ben, he has his mentality of he never settles for just, being in one spot. He's always trying to achieve the next best thing. So for us this year, it's Geico's. We're playing a national schedule. We're going to be in City of Palms, the May. It's just everything this year has been structured for us to be able to get to that level of success and close out my senior season on a good note. So
Without a doubt. We'll go through your AAU season a little bit this past season. Obviously, more than successful for you guys through
yeah,
SSB. You obviously blow up overall, as we just are talking about a
yeah.
lot this past summer. So take us through this. So, like, just what was it like playing on this team of Southeast Elite? Walk us through this summer. Like, why did you choose to run with them? Just take us through the ups and downs of your final AAU season.
Oh man, um, coming into this past AU season, don't get me wrong. Well, of course, I've been offered many spots on many teams. If I'm not going to list the teams and whatnot, but
Yeah.
of course, I've been offered spots and positions on many different teams. And really, it just came down to why is it really something that I need? I'm already getting the recognition. I've been getting what I need with my team. So it was just like, why would I go? Let me just stay and let's get stronger as a team. And playing with my guys this past summer, it was incredible, man. We've traveled so many places, won so many games. I say we probably lost maybe 3 games. I could count on probably one hand, really. We've been tearing up, the circuit all summer and having fun while doing it. Like we sit on defense, get a rebound, throwing it out, dunk show on the other end, and it was just a really fun experience with my guys from Van to Javon, Denzel, Riley. It's just those guys will forever be my guys. Honestly, we talk every day, and we all go to school, basically close to each other, and it's just a real family that we have with that team, and it was a special team, really. I'll never forget those guys ever. So
The other top 100 guy on that roster that has yet to commit is Ben, as you just mentioned. So whichever
yeah,
school does eventually
yeah.
land him, what are they going to be getting in Ben? Like, what will he be bringing to whatever program he chooses to go to?
Man, he's like I said, he's a dog. I mean, the dedication, the approach he has to the game. Van is a walking bucket. I'm gonna be honest, like that man, he walks in the gym. On me, he has 30 points already before playing the game. Like his approach to the game, the hours he puts in, how skillful he is at his size. It's really crazy to see him. And it's crazy. I was trying to get him to come to DP. I'm not gonna lie to you. But of course he's gonna stay at OCP and whatnot. But like I said, just play with any of those guys from my EU team. It's really crazy. Like the chemistry we have is something that I don't think I will get anywhere else. So I love those guys to death and whatnot. So I love them.
Your two big showcase games you've been a part of so far. One is Pangos All-American. You did your
Yeah.
thing out there. It's a little bit more of an all-star feel. It's a more controlled all-star game to be a little more specific there. But you also did your thing. It was a great atmosphere. You also were part of the NBA Top 100 camp. We talked about a little bit. Take us through those two things a little bit. Like, what did it mean to be a part of those two events, and just what was those two experiences like?
Like going back to what you said about, if I ever thought I'd see myself in this position or whatnot. Of course, in freshman year, sophomore year, we look at our phones, see the little highlights, guys performing well at the camps, top 100 camps, Pangos. It was like, yo, man, like, yo, imagine if we were there, like, imagine this, imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really came true, And in that moment, like I said, it wasn't any like, like, oh my gosh, like, yo, I can't believe it. Like, it was just, I put in the work, you know, have the right people around me to give me advice, and this is the outcome of the work I put in. And, you know, first of all, going into the Pangos camp, shout out to Dinos. He's a great guy. He knows how to put stuff together. You know, he made all the players feel comfortable at the camp. You know, it was a fun experience. Where we stayed at, it was a nice hotel. To the things that we participated, the talks, the speeches the coaches gave us, it was really helpful to all the players that were there. And I feel like each and every player could probably take something from there. And the top 100 camp, it was real professional, you know, the way they handled everything with the COVID limitations and whatnot, the way they had the guys like taken care of despite all the obstacles and challenges they had to face, and just giving guys an atmosphere or a taste, I can say, of all high level guys competing, just basically, I wouldn't even say for bragging rights, just to prove that they belong, you know. And I just feel it just comes down to who wants it the most and who's willing to put in the most work. And this just anyone, I feel like anyone could just take a look at me and use me as an example. Like, it doesn't matter what your rankings are. It doesn't matter the guys that have been in the spotlight way before you. Like, if you just put your head down, put in the work, the product, the work is, how do I say, the results is because of the work you put in. If you put in a little, you're going to get back a little. If you put in a lot, you're going to get back a lot. And, you know, I just feel like I hope guys can just take what I'm saying right now and just heed it and just know that it doesn't really matter what other people say or what people may think of you. If you know in your heart that you put in the work, whatever you want is going to come for sure.
Absolutely, man. A couple more things before I let you go. One of which is we talked about the NIL aspect a little bit ago, and obviously with that comes you guys can start selling jerseys once you get to college as well. So is there a jersey number that you have in mind? Like, is there one that you would love to rock out with when you get to Kansas?
Being honest, I mean, you know, 21's always been my jersey since freshman year. Mm-hmm. But let's be honest, I'm not gonna go to college and worry about my jersey number or whatnot. You know, with NIL, if you're not a good, let's call it how it is, if you're not a good basketball player, you're not really gonna benefit from whatever, you know, it is. So I mean, if I stay in the gym, do what I'm supposed to do, be a good player in college, first of all, I mean, everything else is just gonna follow like clockwork. So yeah.
So did NIL have any impact in this process? Like, I'm sure KU made a pitch or talked to you about it at some point. Every school probably said something about it at some point. Like, did that impact your decision at all?
I honestly wouldn't say it made a real heavy impact on my decision. Like I said, you know, just being at this position, take away NIL, I'd probably still, you know, choose them. Yeah. So, you know, like, but back with NIL, I mean, if you put in the work, do what you're supposed to do, stay in the gym, all that stuff's going to come. For sure, I mean, it was talked about, you know, there's stuff that intrigued me for sure. You know, being able to, you know, take care of my mom while I'm in college. I mean, that's a real opportunity, you know, like that's crazy. So, you know, of course, it's something been talked about, but to say it had a real big, huge influence, for sure not. Nah. So, yeah.
So in roughly 1 year from now, the season's about to get going for the upcoming year. You're going to walk into that locker room. You're going to walk into Allen Fieldhouse, and your jersey's going to be up there. Whatever number that is, obviously, like you said, you decide which one it is. But your last name's going to be on that jersey. Take us through the emotion. Like, what do you expect to be feeling that night? Walking in front of maybe the best fans in the entire country. What's just going to go through your mind that night?
Man, I mean, I'm going to do my best to try and not let it get to me, you know, because it's a totally different stage from with high school with local guys around. Like, this is a national stage. We're going to be nationally televised like normal. You know, I'm going to be known around the country 1000%. So it's just going to be, how do I perform at the rate that I'm supposed to and not feed into the media hype or let any of the lights get to me, you know, just make sure I do what I'm supposed to do. And I could worry about being nervous and stuff after, you know, when the clock hits 00. But for sure, before the game, I'm most definitely going to be locked in. So.
Well, my last KU things for you is, obviously we know the situation. David McCormick's there. If he stays there, he probably would be one of the best centers in the entire country next year. So you're either going to be able to get to learn from him for a year, which obviously at that point, I'm not sure going to be a better center to learn from, or you're going to most likely be the guy starting at center for them from day one. Does either one of those opportunities, like rather coming off the bench and learning from a guy like David, or even starting from day one, Do you prefer either one of those, or you pretty much said liking both opportunities there?
I mean, like I said, just the opportunity to play at the next level is just it's good enough. You already, of course, playing and getting to prove that I can be productive at the next level, for sure. That opportunity will come regardless if it's a year, 3 years, 4 years, whatever the case may be. And going back to that learning aspect, basketball, I feel it's a game, but also I look at it as like a teaching lesson. You can never not learn from the game of basketball. There's always something to be learned, always something to be taught, always something to see that you've never seen before. And I'll take every day as a life lesson and make sure I soak up the most of it. So really, that's all I'm going to be able to do.
Absolutely. Well, in your bio, you say, now they all love me. I have a feeling I might know where that might come from a little bit from some of the stuff we talked about, but what about that quote stands out to you, and why do you have that in your bio?
Like you were talking about how I've been able to handle all this like fame, I guess you could call it, and stuff that's been getting to me. Talking about the motivation piece of it. The bio has changed over my course of my recruitment process. It was love me now before they all love me. I started getting all the offers and whatnot. It was they almost all love me, and now they all love me, So I mean, it's just been a crazy ride to see, and I'm witnessing it as it goes along, how someone's life can change, and it's up to that person to determine how they're going to respond to it. And I keep that. I don't think I'm ever going to take that down, really. I keep it in my bio as a reminder. You got to this point being who you are and staying true to the lesson you were taught by your mom and everything that you grew up knowing and understanding and learning. And I'm never, ever going to stray away from that. And it's made me the person I am today. It's got me to this point. So why would I do anything different, So.
Absolutely. Well, something I always wrap up talking about with guys I know everyone always wants to know about is, by the time you do step away from this game someday, and we know your next chapter is at KU, so when you do walk around campus, whether it be 1 to 4 years, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court throughout your career there?
Honestly, I came in and made the most of every opportunity I was given. I left everything on the court. I left everything out there for the fans. I always gave them 110%. I was never short. Just being able to know I came in there and gave it my all. And whatever that may be, I just will know, and they will know that I gave it my all. And, walking away from it, of course it's going to be a touching moment, a remorseful moment, but let's worry about getting there first, so we can save the tears for later.
Absolutely, man. I know you're also a believer, and that's why I want to wrap up talking about with you. So take us to your faith. I know we mentioned God a few different times and kind of just discuss your faith a little bit throughout this, but to really get into it, how has God ultimately helped get you to the point that you're at today? And how have you seen God show up in your life so far to this point?
Like I say, growing up with my mom taking care of me and my siblings, she's always been a believer in Jesus Christ, and I've grown up in church my entire life. And it was, of course, as a little kid, you grow up into it, and it's like, are your parents doing it, so you follow suit. And obviously it felt like the right thing to do. But there's been multiple, and I kid you not, like, I can't make this up. There's been multiple moments where my mom, she'll pray on something, and then the next day it'll come to fruition. And I will pray on stuff and see things happen. And it might not even happen as soon as I pray for it. It might happen in the next few days. Like, it's just been so many moments. Like, I really, honestly, if I could, I wish I could tell you, but it's been so many moments to count that just showed me proof that God has been working in my life, and he's continued to work in my life. So, I mean, hey, look at me. I'm coming from an unknown kid to where I am now. It's like, it doesn't happen by accident, So just, if you show him that you're willing to put in the work and just trust and believe in him, I mean, anything's possible. So.
And you mentioned a key piece there, because I know for a lot of people, those may not even believers, kind of think that, okay, you're born in a Christian household, you just kind of become that automatically. But was a true believer. Like, it's necessary. Yes. Like you do know God, you might know the Bible stories and whatnot growing up, but there is that point when you start learning like, okay, I truly embrace you, God. Like, you start forming that one-on-one bond in a sense, obviously with God eventually at some point. So when was that point for you? Like, when would you say you truly locked in and said, okay, God, I want you as my savior. I want you to be the person I go to. Like I truly believe in you. Like, when was that point for you?
I honestly would say when I got my first offer, 1000%. Like you said, I've always known my scriptures, always believe that God, of course, believe in God and whatnot, but truly say that, truly say that I've given him my life and my all was for sure when I got my first offer. And of course, it's nothing special, but to me, it was like going through my middle school, my freshman year, and I'm looking on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm seeing all these guys, talking about such and such player, doing this, doing that. It was just like when it finally happened and me putting in all the work and me staying humble and true and not really feeding into like, all right, like, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? Like I said, like, there's been stuff I prayed for that, of course, won't happen right away, but it finally happened. It's really just a testament to, me staying true to who I am and what I believe in. And, that's when I was like, yo, like, it's serious, like really. So, yeah.
So as you get a bigger and bigger platform through KU times, and obviously pro career, whether it be NBA overseas, whatever God's got in store for you, how do you plan to be able to continue to spread his light and be his light in the world?
Yeah, of course. Like, the biggest thing that we can do is just, spread God's word and just show other people out there that, there is a God and he does care. Most thing I can do is be living proof. I can't force it on anybody. I can just tell you how he's been good to me and whatnot, and just be able to spread his joy and his blessing that he's given me with other people is really going to be the best part. And of course, with my given platform is going to be able to allow me to touch way more people than I ever could now. And just staying true to him and what I believe in is really just the ultimate what's going to take me far in life. So.
Amen, man. Well, my final thing for you, give KU fans your 3 biggest goals you have set for your KU career.
We definitely got to win a national championship. We definitely got to win a national championship. Number 1. Number 2, most definitely got to be the 1 seed. Most definitely got to be the 1 seed. What else? 3, I almost definitely a pizza named after me, just for the fans. Just for the fans. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, congratulations on the big commitment again, man. I'm excited to see what God got next for you and appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Of course, man. Thank you. I appreciate you too, man. Thank you.
Of course. You're always welcome on, man. God bless.
You too, man.